Mabuhay!
Hi! Welcome to
The Babaylan Book Club podcast.
It's Your Village Kapwatids, Steph.
And Imee. Here we are together again, and as always, in efforts to decolonize our minds, bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journeys as we discuss the works of honored artists, authors, and thought leaders across the Filipinx diaspora.
Quick disclaimer, we want to acknowledge that in this moment, everyone is exactly where they need to be.
And since we are not experts, yet we are sharing our own unique lived experiences, we invite you to take or toss any statements, any opinions, any words we may use as you choose.
And we are so glad you found your way here. As always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground. Taking a pause, drop into your bodies and become fully present in this space. If it is safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus to your breath, inviting you to take a few deep inhales, extending your belly out, and exhale, bringing your belly in. One more time, inhale and exhale. And once more, inhale and exhale. And I invite you to continue to connect with your body and with your breath, continuing your breathing slowly and deeply. Come into this moment, come into your body at this time. And as we begin our conversation, we'd like to thank God, Watala, Creator, for another gathering. And in gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors and invite them to support and guide our conversation today. We also thank the ancestors of the land Stephanie and I currently occupy, knowing we cannot do our own remembrance without remembering them. For myself, that is the mound builders that are the Hopewell and Adena people in Ohio. For Stephanie, that is the Bay, Miwok, Yokut people in the Inland Bay Area of California. With gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, Kapwatid, your energy and your light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in. Hi, Sissy.
Hi, Sissy sis.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, like always.
Yeah, look, you got a new background today.
I do. Everyone gets to see my bed space. I used to try to collect dream catchers from different places I'd visit, but yeah, I'm feng shuiing my house, so
Nice.
my space there is not presentable.
That's okay. You know, we're real people. We're real people, like we say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, as always, we'll get into a 90-second decolonizing heart check on each other, see what we've been decolonizing, what we're thinking about. Then we'll go into the Brown Girl Cliff Notes for this chapter, the last chapter. Here we are, last chapter. And then we'll get into vocab and quotes. Yes?
Sounds good.
Okay. So, who wants to go first? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right.
All right, go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You go first, or you get to choose.
You go first.
Okay.
Okay.
Decolonizing heart check. Okay.
All right, I'll time you. 90 seconds, so we stay on track. Let's see, 1 minute and 30 seconds. And begin.
All right. So I've been decolonizing my eating habits. I have been shown that it is beneficial to fast on your born day. So your birthday, the day of the week that you were born. And for me, that was Thursday. So on Thursdays, I try to fast. And today I did while I'm feng shuiing. And it's definitely a doozy to do while you have no food in your system.
Yeah.
But I have tried to reframe it in a way like, let me feed my body or my body and decluttering. And allowing myself to go through, the piles of paperwork, rummaging through and rearranging and allow that to feed my spirit. And actually got me through the day. I mean, I can have water, I can have juice, sometimes smoothies, tea. So, and I got through the workday. It was very hard to coach, but it has allowed me to look at how I feed my spirit or my body. Let's just, my spirit doesn't need food, but my body, in my opinion, debatable. We could talk about another time. I know we have 90 seconds, but yeah, like how can I feed my body as I'm working too in a capitalistic society? So it's even more of a challenge. And my Aquarius ass is like, bring it on, So yeah, just decolonizing eating habits and fasting at least once a day, a week, and kind of building that awareness there. So,
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I think especially in this side, it's very consumeristic. I feel like we can probably get like that with our eating, like just eating not mindfully, but just just without thought. You know what I mean? Like we do with Netflix or whatever, right? So,
yeah. Yeah. It brings my attention to how much I think about food
yeah.
and how much I look forward to food. I'm a stress eater. So when I'm stressed, I actually eat more versus people who stress and they don't eat. So it's kind of nice to reverse. Um, and yeah, it's a nice exercise. I tried to wait till the sun went down, but there's no way in hell, y'all, I would have been energetic for this. So I typically try to wait till the sun goes down. That's what scripture says. And it's the summer and we just reached summer solstice. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that's this the day after the longest day, and
I
we're gonna
know.
wait
Well,
for the sun to set.
I was gonna say, shout out to that's part of the decolonizing. I was like, wow, Catholics, we fast during Lent, right? And we still eat like on Fridays. We're supposed to abstain from certain foods, but like people still complain. And I'm like, Muslims are hardcore because they go the entire day.
Yeah,
They don't even drink water,
Yeah.
So it's such a humbling experience to do it. So
Yeah. Well, that's cool, Sissy. Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
Okay. It's
All right, your turn.
turn.
Your turn.
It's my turn.
Let's do 45. Oh, what was I saying? 45?
Oh no, 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute and 30 seconds. I'd love to hear you talk for 45 minutes, sis.
Oh no.
You're like, I
That's
wouldn't.
that's for my preaching days.
Oh, okay. Another day. Okay.
Another
1
day.
minute, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Ready, set.
Okay. I am I have a lot of rage against the machine this past couple weeks, and it's got me thinking about just the whole way we live our lives. And I find myself, I have a birthday next week. I'm entering a new decade. I'll be 40. I know I don't look it, but
Nope.
like that's because we have good genes, y'all.
Asian no raisin.
Brown no frown.
Brown no frown. Sorry.
Yellow stay mellow.
Ooh, I heard that one. Okay.
But anyway, so I'm like really trying to think about how I want to live this next decade. Like, what do I want my life to look like? Who do I want to be this next decade? And technically, like, if I am healthy enough, people can live to 100. But technically, like 80s, that's where you that's where you exit the matrix, right? And so I'm like,
Mm,
okay, this is halfway through technically. So
mm.
I don't know, just like lately I've been kind of just seeing a lot of the systems that are in play, and like specifically capitalism, and how whoops, anyway, specifically capitalism, and how it just like has everybody in a bind. Like people just be working, like, you have to see, you have a job that in it,
I'm in the
you work
Matrix.
for the
Yep.
matrix, but and like I feel like it's nice that you get to help people, but I feel like so many people are in the matrix and they don't have that sort of company that they work for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm probably not making any sense. But anyway, I just been thinking about all of it. I'm like, let's just decolonize all. Let's just go
Burn
back
it
to the
down.
burn it down.
So screaming in the mic, like,
Late
yep,
stage capitalism, just like let it go. Take a match, light it on fire. So
trust me.
anyway,
Yeah, I hear you on that, sis. These
yeah.
systems, it's that's why I think we and I had debriefed how big our collective is and how imperative it is to do like mass action. And the problem is that there's so
Mhm.
many nuanced webs, like the matrix has the machine has, and so
Yeah.
it's gonna like literally have to be a collective, like let's just all stop, which is
Yeah.
possible. There was like a country, I think the women in France, they like went on a protest for the entire day.
Yeah.
That's an example of,
Of course, it was the women.
okay,
Yeah.
and they got whatever they wanted. They protested. So
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to opt out. How do I opt out? Where's the unsubscribe? Can I
I know.
unsubscribe to
I
capitalism?
know.
But
There's
at
a
the
book about 4-hour work days, and I would totally be with that. Or like 3-day work weeks.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and just like how America specifically does capitalism, wow, we are killing our people over here. We're literally, Americans are literally dying because of capitalism. There're like places in Italy, they're taking like, uh, 2-hour breaks in the middle of the day and meeting their family for lunch and stuff. Like, it's just, yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah. After grad school, I went to Paris, and I was just so appalled at how like they treat their parks like beaches. Like no one's on their phones. They're reading newspapers. This is in 2015 too, by the way. I'm not speaking how old I am, but like I was appalled at like also the serving size of like ice cream. I was like, so y'all are like healthier in portions. You also like turn off you don't sit, you sit in the park and you just be.
yeah. Yeah, you give Americans a 2-hour lunch break and they're just gonna work right through, be
I know, and they'll
productive.
probably be working on another thing to
Hmm.
like make them money,
That's
which
what I'm
not
saying.
against it, but like if it's
Yeah, like
burning
make your
you.
money, if you want to make your money. There's nothing also wrong with abundance, and like I don't know. Anyway, I could go on. I'm gonna end it here and
Me
take a
too.
deep
Yeah, I know.
cleansing breath. Yes.
Rage Against the Machine. It's
Yeah.
funny, men actually made that. There's a band called Rage Against the Machine,
Yeah.
and they're men.
Yeah. Okay. Complete.
Complete. All right. So Brown Girl Cliff Notes time. You can sing that much better than me, sis. So whenever you want to chime in, the world
I'm
is
like,
ready.
yeah, so I'll let you take it. You sound good.
I can hold a tune, but I can't do the vibrato thing. Um, all right. What a chapter to round out the last parts of this book, episode 34. Here we are, chapter 13. And it was written by Ate Perla Paredes Daly, a multimedia artist and activist who collaborates with various artists, healers, and activists around the world Her story stems from the transition of actually starting in California. And at the age of 10 years old, she moved back to the island of Negros Occidental, Philippines, with her widowed mother. Growing up around educated aristocratas, like her Lola, who went to Assumption College, she eventually connected the dots in her own experiences when she got to college and recognized and reconciled her colonial mentalities from her own upbringings. Recognized in 2011 as a recipient of the quote 100 most influential Filipinas in America, we can say that Ate Perla underwent the courage that is decolonization through the support of community and through the self-connection and discovery process. The rise of her Babaylanic spirit emerged to unify Filipinos across the diaspora by shifting Filipino reputations within the late 90s and the 2000s in the cyberspace. Remember, yeah, I know the Facebooks. Oh, what was that? MySpace? Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Friendster. Do you remember Friendster?
Oh, I didn't have Friendster. I came in on.
That's how old I am. Whoops.
Yeah. But they're not too far off. So, yeah, as we know now as the internet/social media, initially floored by the offensive and demeaning cyber myth reputations Filipinas were known for to be mail-to-order brides or submissively hypersexualized beings, she became inspired to focus her creative powers into shifting the cyberspace consciousness around who, what, where, how Filipinas really are. Through her collective, collaborative process in founding and establishing successful online communities and new media publications such as Bagong Pinay to newfilipina.com to babaylan.com. Eventually, she connected with Ate Lenny Strobel Mendoza and then chaired the Filipino Americans Women's Network, FAWN, FAWN. There was a conference in 2005 built around her original conceptualization of the 5 Babaylan power roles, which we talked about way back in season 1, or archetypes. The Babaylan as a warrior, a teacher, a healer, sage, or priestess. Ate Perla's Filipino feminism work aims to create space and awareness for others across the diaspora to cultivate, foster, and own their own empowered and called to action of recognizing Indigenous concepts and invitation to share each of our own unique Indio-genius stories.
Let's go.
Woo woo.
And so the Center for Babaylan Studies, their logo is that mandala, the Babaylan mandala. That was on the first book, but it's like right here. She's the one who created that.
Yeah.
So that's
wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
It is a lot of work. So thank you, Ate Perla, for this chapter.
Definitely. Thank you for summarizing, Sissy Sis.
You're welcome.
Okay, so vocabulary words. Let's get into it. So I'll go first from page 282. The word is diwa. So Ate Perla says, over the years, the diwa of Bagong Pinay deepened my journey into the significance of Filipino feminism and challenge of realizing its promise. So diwa is a Philippine term I've come to understand as meaning essence, consciousness, spirit, thread of thought, or soul. In some places, it also refers to cause of inspiration and energy. And I thought it was interesting because, sis, have you heard of that word diwata? Diwata?
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. So I looked that up because I feel like that's very probably related. So I looked it up. A diwata is most popularly known in modern times as a nature spirit or a quote unquote fairy that is often a steward over a certain mountain or piece of land. In ancient Filipino culture, the diwata or anito was the dominant concept in the various religions throughout the archipelago. The anito concept was prominent in Luzon, in the north, while the Diwata prevailed in the Visayas and Mindanao.
Mm.
So I thought that was interesting. And then as it's I just like that idea of essence, right? Diwa. I love the word essence because it
I do too.
it's like a
Favorite.
vibe, it's like an energy, it's like a
Yes.
frequency, but it's just like an essence, right?
Yes.
So in the start of the chapter on page 271, Ati Perla starts out by saying, there came a time in my life when I could no longer ignore the call of the Babaylan. My creative efforts in various media, such as prose poetry, art, and web pages, are attempts to search for, find, and live out the essence of my Filipino self and link to my ancestry. So her diwa, so the essence of her Filipino self. So I don't know, I thought that was pretty interesting, and to kind of see, how that term plays out in our own lives or even in our own decolonization journey. Like, what is the essence
Right.
of what we're trying to capture as we decolonize? What is that ancestral diwa, that ancestral essence that we're trying to
Mm.
reach back for, find inspiration in, so
Mm. Mm-hmm.
so that is my term, diwa.
That is your term, diwa. Sounds like dila, which is
What is that?
the tongue.
Oh, interesting.
Diwa, dila. Ooh.
Bars.
It would have been so dope if you busted out with like a beat. Start
No,
beatboxing.
I can't do that. No.
Get you on a different, maybe I think you can.
I probably could, but I'd have to have a lot of inspiration from plant medicine, perhaps.
We can drink some coconut, fermented coconut water. How about that?
Whoa, what is that called? What's
Dang.
What's that called that they drink back home?
Yo, I bought a bottle of it and brought it back too. Dang.
Does it start with a B?
No, I don't know. We're gonna have to look it up now.
Oh, snap.
Fermented coconut water.
Do 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 do. Lambanog.
Lemon.
Lambanog.
You win the prize.
Have you drank that though? Side note,
Lavanog. Yeah, that shit is strong. Okay.
Yo, yes, it is.
I feel like my ancestors woke me up like, look, literally. And then we met like 6 months later. So it did its job.
Whoa,
yeah.
really?
That was February. Yeah, I brought some back. February 2020. And then we met October, right? So
we did. Yo, that feels so long ago, but just like yesterday. That's crazy.
Oh my God, it's timelines.
Yeah,
jumping timelines out here.
All right. So, but anyway.
We just get into our diwa. We just love each other's diwa.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yes. Just the essence.
Sorry, y'all. We love y'all's diwa. Thanks for hanging with us. Okay. Yeah, love that word. Okay. So mine is on. Oh, do you feel complete, sis?
I do feel complete. Thank you.
Okay. Mine is on page 281. 281. Can I say that in Tagalog? Or
I don't know.
Dalawa. I can't say 8.
I have to count. It's like isa, dalawa, tatlo, apat, lima, anim, pito, walo.
Walo. Dalawa, walo, isa.
Isa.
Dang, man.
I know.
See, that's decolonizing right there. I could say in Spanish probably faster. What is that? I don't remember. I'm not gonna do it. Uno, dos, ocho, uno. See how quick that was?
Yeah.
Lord. Batala, help us all. Okay. 281. I picked the word Pagkiki Pagkapwa. Sacred interconnection. And it pops up a lot in the chapter, but I feel like she definitely, Filipinos, we love doing the hella syllables type of thing.
Yeah,
well, we've mentioned kapwa a lot, but I wanted to talk about the Pagkiki Pagka. Pagkiki Pug. It's kind of like, well, I guess that means sacred. So it's on page again 281, and it says through discussions in this group, she met up with a group to discuss colonial mentality and decolonization. So this is Ate Perla's like time of like connecting with community and decolonizing as a group, much like we're doing here, you know. So through discussions in this group, I learned more about the following indigenous concepts: Diwa, which actually she says consciousness here for essence; Loob, which is deepest inner being; Kapwa, self in the other; and Pagkiki Pag Kapwa, sacred interconnection. Did I make any notes about this? Learning about Filipino Pagkiki Pag Kapwa enabled me to see that the highest goals of feminism and of movements of social justice, liberation, and equality, regardless of gender emphasis, have the same goals: to compel balance in society and to heal the make whole individuals as well as collective humanity. Pagkiki Pag Kapwa has become for me a worldview that within one's loob, or deeper in his deepest inner being, there's not just a shared humanity, but also a shared inner life that connects us with each other and all with cosmic existence. So, sorry, y'all. This was like written like a couple weeks ago, my notes. So, last thing I'll mention about Pagkiki Kapwa, which pops up. She says, Filipinos today must therefore realize that the antithesis of patriarchy's worldview is the Filipino consciousness of Pagkiki Pag Kapwa. This philosophy is based on the awareness of lakas ng loob, like your internal power and spirit, how they give away to healing, compassion, and wholeness.
Yes, that's interesting. I love how she says that Pagkiki Pag Kapwa has become a world view. Like that's just how she views the world and everybody in it, that we like all in our deepest inner being, no matter who we are, we have something that connects us all,
whether we want to or not.
Whether we want to or not.
And I think poetically, she says here subscribing, which is interesting because she's, you know, on the online presence.
Yeah.
Subscribe to this YouTube channel, by the way, shameless plug. Subscribing to the worldview of Pagkiki Pag Kapwa and unsubscribing from the patriarchal worldview are inherent in decolonizing, not only for the decolonized, but also the colonizer. So y'all, listen.
Yes. I would like to unsubscribe to patriarchy. How do I unsubscribe? Do I just like type unsubscribe and hit send?
I know,
stop,
right?
Opt out.
If only it was that easy. Shit. Girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I really like that word because it brings in the diwa, the essence of how we are all in some ways, you know, hopeful to just remember how I think a lot of us want to feel that life of fulfillment, like work with purpose. And once you recognize you can give yourself that, how we are all very much interconnected. So how can we work together? Because again, like I was saying, it's very collective.
Yeah.
There's 7 billion people on this planet. How can we work together? 7 billion people, you know?
Yeah, I think like okay, so let's just take a rabbit trail right quick. So Pakiki Pagkapwa has become a worldview where she sees like the sacred interconnectedness of all of us. And it's almost like, I love that. That's beautiful. But what makes sacred rage come up in me is, why are always the oppressed people the ones with this worldview who are like, we are all one? It's mostly those of us who are oppressed who, say that sort of stuff. And that's the reason we're oppressed, is because the majority doesn't have Pakiki Pagkapwa as their worldview.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they're not aware of it, which is why she was also the colonizer. Then it's like a call out to the colonizer, like we gonna be interconnected whether you like it or not. And
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
like, how can you as a colonizer recognize that we're all interconnected? Because you're gonna need farmers.
You're
You're
right.
gonna need, you know, people who think that they're supreme. I don't even want to say, you know,
I know what you're saying.
people who think they're. I don't want to perpetuate that. I
Yeah.
personally am going to say it's a psychosis.
Mhm.
But to think that you're supreme and that other people, you're reliant. At the end of the day, you are reliant on other people to do
Yeah.
something for you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so nice. Like, dang.
Right.
Be
So,
fair, but the
our
world is not fair.
no,
So
it's not.
right now, my hope is one day it will be.
One day. So that is a beautiful worldview that we can
Mhm.
all hope to strive for. That's sometimes I admire her for having that worldview. That's tough.
Yeah. I was gonna say, sis, with the sacred rage, I think that that's part of um doc- there's a doctor. It's been a long day for me. He talks about the spectrum of emotions. And I
Hmm.
think because BIPOC people or indigenous people have always been oppressed. Um, and then there was like a quote, it's like religion has kept people of color from killing white people. Um, spirituality, because we process ancestral rage, and wherever you are on that spectrum, if you are kind of acknowledging because I have it too, I have waves of rage.
Yeah.
I don't stay there.
Yeah.
I'll come back down, but then something can ignite it again, and that's normal, y'all. That's
Normal.
okay.
Yes.
So what I was sharing earlier, what you're saying, like, why does it have to be people of color? Well, we get to experience the spectrum, and that's why we get to experience expanded consciousness, because
Okay.
we
Okay.
we have experienced the spectrum of emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That's a good perspective as well. So,
Yeah.
thanks, sis.
Yeah,
So, are you complete?
I am.
All right. All right. So, we're going to hop into quotes. And Ati Steph, you want to go first?
Yes. Okay, we're going to look at page 292. Dalawa 9 2.
Siam.
Dalawa. Okay. See, you would totally be so much better at this than me.
No, that's probably not even how we say it because there's probably a word for like 200,
I know.
right?
So many dialects.
90.
Yeah.
I
Not
don't
cool.
know.
Okay, 292. I picked, where did I say? Okay. It says here, actually, she quotes Ate Lenny. She says, Ate Lenny talks of decolonization and indigenization as indispensable. I'm going to say that again. Ate Lenny talks of decolonization and indigenization as indispensable to any work of repairing the damage caused by the ideology of conquest and domination.
Mm.
I believe in these things because, strangely enough, as an artist, I feel the pain and loss that our ancestors underwent. Yet some would critique a desire to rediscover indigenous roots as nothing more than a romantic ideal dreamed up by alienated Filipinos in their faraway diasporic places of exile. Many Filipinos today, both abroad and in the homeland, scoff at any notions of reclaiming one's indigenous roots, so relevant, as a bogus return to anachronistic traditions that, as far as they're concerned, exist more as a quaint tourist attraction than having cachet as uh, vibrant and living lifeways.
Mm.
So this paragraph kind of shares that to repair the damage caused by conquest and domination, which is what colonization is, I guess maybe like to be believe that this romantic ideal is not just a dream, but kind of there's
It's important.
there you go, sis.
It's necessary.
Yeah, and there are going to be people who will scoff and laugh and think that some people think Babaylan is a myth. So,
yep.
Anyways, keep that same dream. Keep that dream alive, what they say.
Yeah, I think those that are seeing this as like a romanticism of our ancestors, right? Because I hear a lot of sentiment like, well, the indigenous people also, killed each other and did. Like, so they think that what we're doing is romanticizing, like everything in the past, everything ancestral was so perfect. That's not necessarily what we're saying. What we're saying is we feel lost. We feel lost in the diaspora. We're trying to find our roots so that we can grow. We literally are stuck. We can't. I mean, I'm not stuck. I'm not trying to speak that over you or me, but it like to progress forward as the Filipinx diaspora, right? Like there's a certain amount of having to understand where we came from, taking those concepts that are indigenous, right? That are genius to our indigenous folks, our indigenous people, and like using them to inspire a new way forward in life. And it's not just like, oh, la la la, so cute or whatever. Like it's important. It's the only way forward.
Yeah. The future is indigenous. Like, so keep that dream alive is kind of what, and I wanted to be realistic because there are people, like I'll speak for me, in Imes, we talked about this in our own like loved ones circles, like that scoff at Babaylan, that's not real, or that's so old and stuff. And it's just like, so like, those are the Constitution of the United States. Like, so is like Catholicism and this baptism, like that's a ritual. Like,
right.
Babaylans had rituals too, duh. And so it's like, why aren't we interested in the pre-colonized practices? Who brainwashed that from us,
the colonizer. I'll take
that's a clip. Yeah, that's a little clip right there, sis.
I'll take decolonization for 800, please.
I'll take decolonization for reparations.
Yes, please.
Across all time, space, realities, and dimensions for all BIPOC people.
Let's go. Claim it, bruja. Let's go.
And so it is. We don't even have an amen. What's the prelocal? We talked about this.
Yeah, I keep forgetting the word. It's so long.
I know. Katotohanan, that means truth.
Well, let's just what is it again?
Katotohanan.
Katotohanan.
People always say like totoo, which is like true. Is that true?
Let's just say totoo.
Totoo.
Because it is true, friend.
That sounds funny though.
Totoo. Wait, does it sound funny?
I know. That's a program in me, y'all.
See?
Although sometimes
it does sound funny.
Maybe that's why. Okay, here's a theory.
Okay.
Filipinos are resilient and we laugh a lot because we find ways to just laugh the pain off. And I feel like that's probably why God was like, let me just make y'all's language like be cute but funny, because that's what you guys are, because you're gonna go through a lot of strife.
Yeah.
Versus like you in France and like, ooh, croissant and
croissant sounds funny too, though, if you think about
croissant. It's actually croissant.
Parlez-vous français? Y'all, you can tell we're tired. Happy Steph just got off of work. It's like 11:30 over here. We're just all, we're all like toto.
Toto.
Baguette.
Dedicated. We dedicated.
We
See?
are. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Thank
I'm
you,
complete.
Steph. Are you complete?
I am.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So my quote is from 291. So this is like after she talks about the roles of the Babaylan, the power roles of the Babaylan. And I thought I would just run through them really quickly. So she talks about the power roles of the Babaylan, and the first four she kind of equates each to a different element. So the power role of warrior, spirit of fire, warrior, the courage to move beyond your comfort zone, to take action, to work for change. And then the power role of teacher, spirit of earth, the generosity to share knowledge, the foresight to pass on heritage, the desire to cultivate learning and growth, to work for our children and theirs. The power role of healer,
Number 3.
spirit of water, the gift to bring wholeness and to wash away dis-ease, the realization of integration, the compassion to forgive, to work for healing. Then there's the power role of sage, spirit of wind, clarity to impart understanding, discernment to create oneness, rejection of judgment that creates separation, awareness to be present, wisdom to shed attachment, to bring insight and guidance to oneself and to others. And then there's the power role of priestess, which is the fifth one. And it probably encompasses and ties all of the archetypes together as far as the elements goes. So she has an invocation of Diwa here, bridge between the seen and unseen. Remind us of the union of spirit and matter around us and within us, to give practice to that which increases our awareness, harmonizes logic with intuition, marries our hearts with our minds, uplifts us and inspires us, connects us with that which fires us, heals us, guides us, nourishes us, and strengthens us. So she goes on to say that the responsibility of the priestess archetype is to take action by creating ritual that bridges the seen and unseen, the spirit world and the physical world. And so the quote that I wanted to highlight, Atiperla says, I believe that today the figure of the Babaylan exists not just as a reclaimed icon. So we were talking about earlier how some people are like, oh, the Babaylan doesn't exist, or they think it's just like romanticized idea, like something cute or whatever. So she's saying that the figure of the Babaylan exists not just as a reclaimed icon. Filipino men and women, real persons in our living, breathing communities, have always enacted the power roles that could have been those of the Babaylan in her time: warrior, teacher, healer, visionary, and in some cases, even priestess. Modern Filipino society and communities around the world can benefit from the spirit of the Babaylan as it manifests in acts of community empowerment towards restoring harmony and balance, justice, and transformation. So I know we talked about the archetypes of the Babaylan in the very first book, and I honestly feel like it was like either chapter 1 or chapter 2. So it's kind of like
a full circle.
Yeah, like this is the second book, the last chapter. What?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting now looking back at our book journey, if you will, thinking about when we first came upon these archetypes, the violent archetypes, and then thinking about them now. I don't think about them differently necessarily, but just like in a fuller view. And then I love how she points out, Ate Perla points out that like the Babaylan and then the archetypes of the Babaylan, they're not just something from the past. It's not just a relic. It's actually still living within us, within you, within me, within our communities, because we see these roles being played out. So I think that's beautiful. And then I wanted to ask you, Sissy Sis, and also maybe you all Babaylan Brujas, to think about like which one. I wish I could go back and see, because I know we asked this at the
I know. We
like
could go back. It's
which
on
one. Yeah, we can go back. We have receipts. It's like we recorded this
in
or
the
something.
cyberspace.
In the interwebs. But like I know we talked about which ones that like we resonate with us the most at that point.
Yeah. Oof.
Do you have one or a couple that resonate with you more now? Because that was like, sis, that was like a year and a half ago that we read that chapter.
I know. Is it been? Oh my god.
Yeah, basically.
This is an interesting conversation because it's such a debate with folks having different perspectives of like, can you claim yourself as Babaylan?
Yeah.
And then we read a lot of these essays, and a lot of these elders are saying, or at this are saying, like, the spirit is within you.
Yeah. The spirit's within you.
Yeah, it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
So it's also still debatable because there's people who are very, more conservative about, they don't go there and call that. And to each its own. I'm going to answer that question. I feel like it's just, it depends on like what situation I'm in.
Yeah.
Because obviously when I'm at work, I feel like more the teacher and the sage, because I have to use discernment and I have to educate. And then sometimes, depending, like if I'm in nature, I'll feel more like a priestess because I'll feel like I'm roaming between two worlds, Yeah. So it's hard to say. I think that it just depends. And I don't know if they created like a Babaylan like archetype test, it'd be interesting what that logarithm would say, for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. A lot of times I do feel sagey just because my upbringing, I've been in a lot of spaces where there have been a collaboration of different cultures and backgrounds and age groups and things like that. So it kind of pushes me to be open to those different types of consciousness and to discern accordingly, so that that makes sense. That is moving with integrity, moving peacefully. That's sort of, I guess I would say, sagey at this moment, because there's a lot going on in my life. I'm starting school and so I'm going back for my LMFT. I'll be a licensed marriage family therapist in about 2.5 years.
Sis, let's go.
Thank you. And so it's a lot of like, I feel, even to me, like imposter syndrome comes up because it's like, who am I to call myself a sage? And I want to give credit of like feeling confident, like, I have to like discern different personalities and navigate those conversations, especially when it comes to if they're coming to me for help.
Right. So, right. Yeah. And the sage element is air.
I know.
Miss Air sign.
I know, double air. Double air. It's crazy. Yeah. I had a reader recently, and he was like, you gotta come back. Like, you're gonna be very much airy. That's okay. But like, so that's why I say like different, it depends, because sometimes I'm like, I need to come back to earth, and that's where I pull into a different archetype.
Yeah. And that's honestly what the archetypes are for. Like, they're not, there's no imposter syndrome, because an archetype is something that you can like take inspiration. That's how I see it anyway. An archetype is something that you can take inspiration from, right? So you can definitely be like, yes, I'm accessing the Babaylan archetype of the sage. And I don't think that's any disrespect to someone who was actually from a lineage of Babaylan, because these spirits are in all of us and play out in our communities. So I guess too, it's not like necessarily which one you resonate, but like where do these show up in your own life, right? So maybe that's the better question. Or like, where can we find inspiration from these archetypes in our regular
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I'm looking at the pages because when you're reading, I was just listening. I think integrity, like, because I am double air, like
Yeah.
that makes sense that I would be talking about sage more than healer because don't have much water in my charts. And I call in a lot of water friends. So,
Me,
but they're right.
I'm your water friend.
You are. So, but I in reality, we're all, droplets of the cosmos. So
Yeah.
it is all within us. But this is nice to like be aware of like, which archetypes you might be resonating more than others and how do you pull into it at different times. And,
yes. And like,
how can you bring in more to, heal yourself? Because I'm over here like, yeah, I need more water. Maybe that's why I felt more rounded when I was a swimmer because I was in the water all the time.
oh,
I didn't have no problems like, when I was swimming, but
yeah.
But I digress. Enough about me, sissy. What about you? What's your archetype?
Well, I mean, definitely all of these show up in different areas of my life at different times, just like you said. I think the ones that I come back to a lot though, is warrior for sure. Healer. Like, okay, so let's go. Top 3.
All right.
And in order.
Okay, go ahead. Rank them and lay like your love languages. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I honestly feel like priestess might be number 1 as an archetype because I love a freaking good ritual. I love a ritual. I love to walk in between that space between like here and there. That's the astral realm, you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, so I love to, and even so my warrior self is I pick up my Kali sticks, but what do? I make a ritual out of, out of my Kali, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's probably the overarching one is priestess and then warrior and then healer.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know, like I'm sure that those they interplay, like it's all of the elements at once, but I feel like if I were to zoom out a little bit, probably priestess is the one that's most shows up.
Yes, I could totally
Just because I love to give ritual, creating ritual.
That's what your business was founded on, ritual.
Yeah. So there is that. But Babaylan Brujas, we just invite you to
share with us. Yeah. What's your top 3 or what do you feel?
Yeah.
This is again all on page 2. Actually, the summarized like really cool versions. She makes pictures, images, 285 to 289. So.
Yeah. So take a look at that or just re-listen to what the archetypes are and let us know in the comments.
Or if you don't, that's okay too. Like tell us.
Tell us you're like, no, none of these. I don't see any of these. That's okay too.
Yeah.
So, but I am complete, sissy.
All right.
And that completes the book.
We did it, y'all.
Yay. Good for you and good for us. Yay.
So as always, as we end this conversation and close out this container with gratitude, once again, we recognize and honor all the ancestors and the ancestors of the lands we occupy. We also recognize and honor you too, dear Kapwatid, for joining our conversation today. And as always, Imee and I leave you with a blessing. As you continue the brave work of decolonization, may you use the challenge as a path for defining the life ahead of you. May you continue to find and cultivate and share your unique indigenous or endogenous stories. And with our myths rediscovered, may you arrive in a land lit by clarity and purpose. May the remembrance of Kapwa anchor you into your heart. And until we meet again, may you know that all is well and will be well, and that no matter what happens, you